Hi everyone, this is Jen from Scrapping Posh, and I am here with my Artistic Studio Creation Design Team project, and I'm going to be using the Mente Nightfall collection with my haunted mansion. So it's not going to be a haunted mansion, but it's going to be a really cool, like, cosmic looking mansion with this Nightfall collection. So I'll leave a link to everything in the description box below. Head on over to ASC Supplies on Etsy or asccraftsupplies.com to get your stuff, and use Scrapping Posh 10 for 10% off. And the kit here is available at mymakerscreations.com. So let's get going. I have to use my new cutting mat here because we're going to be tracing and using the X-Acto knife on some of this paper. So first thing I'm going to do is get out the sides of my house here, and we're going to start cutting pattern paper. I think the back I'm going to leave black again because I think that worked very well last time. So got some bits to pop out here, and we'll set this up the rest of this side. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is pick out some of my paper. I love this. This house is going to look so cool. I saved these plastics for paint. So you only need one collection because it goes a really long way. How about cosmic on the front? Oh, let me see what's on the back. Oh, I like that too. Let me make sure is there one or two of each? No, yep, there's two of each. So now that I see this, I think, yeah, we'll probably do the back too. Okay, so I'm going to take out the cosmic papers here. This one I don't particularly care for because I'm not like a wine drinker. I don't know if that matters to most people or not, but I think we'll start with those. So it doesn't take a whole lot of paper to make this project, so that's cool. Because it leaves you paper for little mini albums to stick in the back. So I'm going to get my front of the house. And we can cover the whole thing, but you don't really need to cover the middle. But it's easier to cover the whole thing. So let's go ahead and do that. And since this pattern doesn't have an up or a down, I can probably definitely make it work, especially on the little sides here. Okay, so I think we'll do the front in this purple and the sides in this, and then maybe do some flowers on the back. But we have the roof to do too. I may do the roof in just plain black. Haven't decided yet. Lots of options. So I'm going to use the corner here at my advantage. Actually, I think I'll just use the squareness or rectangularness of this at my advantage and just use my paper trimmer to cut this. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect because we're going to put the little hinges on. Don't make it big though. You don't want it big. So we're going to go from side to side. And here. Just make little tick marks. Maybe kind of hard to see on the darker paper, but that's okay. I would really like to do the pink, the Autumn Prima, which I better order because it's in my cart right now. Alright, oh, I just cut off my, I cut off my tick mark. Hold on. Let me see. Alright, well, since I can't tell where it was, let's just use this. Cut right there. And here. And you can cut a little bit short because you have the gussets. Okay. So I'm going to do now is trace the insides, and if you have a white gel pen it may be easier to see it. And we're going to cut all this off. And you just trace the outsides of the windows. You don't have to trace all the insides because we're not going to cut the insides. I'm just going to cut a hole in the paper. Okay, let's see, did I get everything? I think I got everything. Alright, we're going to put that aside. I don't know if you can see where I traced the lines there. I'm going to get my X-Acto knife, make sure it's sharp. Make sure there's no glue stuck to it. And if you want, now you can pull the... I have some papers precariously stacked over here. Let me move them. Okay, you can pull the little window frames from the kit and see how much wiggle room you have. So you have to cut bigger than the windows themselves because these are exactly the same size as those. So when you trace it, it's a little smaller. So you have to cut bigger than the windows, but smaller than this, and you got an 1/8 inch, so you should be okay. So just put your X-Acto knife on the outside, give yourself about an 1/8 of an inch, and go straight down. And it doesn't have to be straight because you have wiggle room, right? This is one way to do it. The way that I did it on my first Haunted Mansion was that I cut a whole bunch of little tiny paper strips. There, that is exact as you have to be. And then when you put your little window over it, it looks like that. It's a horrible example because of my bright pink background. There you go. Like that. We could actually even cut a little bit more from this corner over here. Okay, there you go. You don't want to put the that on yet. You want to put it on here first. And then these are just light holes, and they will be completely covered. So you don't really have to worry about how those look. And I go at Christmas time and I get the Dollar Tree lights. So I usually get like $10 worth, which is 10 little light packets, and then I use them in my projects throughout the year. We're going to go a little bit bigger again on the window. And if you get it too big, don't worry about it, because we're going to paint around the windows. So it will blend in if you get it too big. That one looks okay. If you get it too small, then you can either cut away more, or you can you'll just have a little bit of interference, I guess, is that your paper will show through the window frames. Okay, and then on these, again, make them bigger than they actually are. But it's not a hard cut to make. Nowhere near as hard as cutting through that chipboard. Let me tell you about that. Because the first time I did the haunted house, I didn't have any way to cut it except by X-Acto knife, and it took forever. Okay, let me see if I can find this window frame. That looks pretty good. If I need to cut a little bit more off later, I can. And this last one here. This will be a fun project. I'm kind of excited. You guys, I have, by the end of this, I'm going to have at least 3 of these houses decorated, so watch for the decorated houses to end up on the auction group. They're going to be a little more expensive because of shipping, but if you want a finished project instead of doing one yourself. Alright, let's look again at the, make sure I got even close. Look, I need a little bit off of there, and then I can cut these points off completely because you don't need them. Okay, so there's that part. And I can't find my giant black marker, so I'm stuck using this tiny Sharpie that I'm not extremely happy about. Whatever. Okay, found it. Okay, so now we're going to paint or use marker around the window frames. Especially these window frames, because if you use just the window frame, then the insides aren't black. Okay, so I've outlined everything, and then also along the bottom here, I have all my little pieces cut out. And we can wiggle around a little bit. Everything looks good to me. And my next suggestion is to take a piece of whatever you're going to decorate the inside with and do the same thing you just did with this one. Alright, so I'm just taking the same template that we just made, tracing the windows, and this time I just marked on my paper. This time we can cut like right on the lines. We don't have to make them bigger or smaller. may make the outside just a tiny bit bigger, or a tiny bit smaller because of the, if you can see those, yeah, you can see them a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the outside with my paper trimmer because it's easier, or you can use scissors, whatever you like. Okay. And then just go back with the X-Acto knife. And this is just 65-pound cardstock. Crystal has it. I think it's from Paper Accents, maybe? I just have a huge stash of cardstock that I buy and have bought forever every time it's on sale, but the 65-pound cardstock that Crystal sells is excellent. If you don't care what the inside of your box looks like, then this is an unnecessary step. You can just leave it plain. Oops. If you're having a problem cutting with your X-Acto knife, change the blade. Probably your problem. Don't get frustrated. Don't think it's you. It's probably the blade. Okay, so before we put these on, there's a couple things I'm going to do. Is that one, this is not a black core cardstock, so we're going to go around the outside using the same permanent marker. Two, you will see this part, so I'm going to go ahead and trace the outside there. And three, we're going to cut our vellum and put it in the window. So, you don't need vellum here because that's for the lights, but the vellum diffuses the actual lights. So, I think it's worth the time. All the windows are the same height, right? Let's look. Yeah, we could cut that. Okay, so you can also use acetate instead of vellum if that's what you want. Cut the height, and one piece of vellum is enough for all these windows. This is for the big window. I had them marked off, and then the little windows are, well, we got two here, so 1 and 2. And those will get glued on the inside. Okay. Oh, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to do it right. Let's see. I always do it backwards. So I colored all the... This is supposed to be the front side because it has all the little etch marks. Not that it's going to matter because once I cover it up with paper I won't be able to see it. But what I am going to do is take these little etch marks and put them on the side. Hopefully I'll be able to see them when I'm trying to line up that gable. Is it a gable? Have I been calling this thing the wrong thing the entire time? Okay, so I'm going to take my Ultra Bond adhesive from ASC Supplies, and we're just going to go along the outside of the windows to glue the vellum down. Don't use too much glue on your vellum because it will curl. If you leave yourself enough room, you can use tape, but I don't think I cut the vellum big enough to use tape on them. So we're just going to use glue. Okay. And then the first thing I do is put it in the wrong spot. There we go. We'll reinforce it when we put the back on. There we go. And then I'm just going to use my ATG tape to put this black on the back. This is the inside. Let's go here. Okay, and we line up the black cardstock that we cut. You could do black, you could do off-white, you can do a cream on the inside. You just want to make sure that looks good. Okay, and then go ahead and put on your window frames for the inside because it is nearly impossible to do on the outside and when it's put together. So I have 2 of these, and there's enough in the kit for inside and outside. And I'm going to use the fancy windows for the inside. That's why I didn't paint them. And I'm just going to take the windows and put the glue on the windows. This is where your tip comes in handy. But you can also just put a big glob of glue down and then like brush it on or something like that. You line up with the outside little windows so that when the light comes through, you don't see the black on the back side. And I don't even do the middle part because it's too finicky, and you don't need it as long as the outside sticks. Panda snorted. Okay. Just line up with the inside. There. Now your inside looks perfect. along with your outside. If I have enough paper left over, I can do an album. I have enough paper with the Midnight Tales collection, so I'll be doing that. I didn't color enough right here. Yeah, got it. And same right here. There we go. And one more for the inside, and then we'll do the outside. And I told you before that we had to like marker the corners of those pages, but I just remember we're gonna put window frames over them, so not necessary, right? Okay, here. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so there is the inside. Later on we can just double check to make sure everything's stuck down. That looks good for now. And then we're going to take our outside and we're going to do the same thing. Here. I got a big, we'll cover that. We'll cover that with some flowers or something. I don't think I got any of the ephemera or anything that goes with this collection, which maybe there's still some left in the shop. I know the collection is still available. So head on over to ASC Supplies and get that. Okay, just want to put a good layer on there. You can use wet glue, you can use whatever you want. It don't matter. This is like my ATG gun because I have lots of tape for my ATG gun and it's easy. Okay, I'm going to color this in right here. Perfect. Yep, there's no need to color around the windows because we have window frames. I forgot. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the outside that we did on the inside with the window frames. Line them up. And because we like markered in the window frames in black, if you get a little bit offline, it doesn't hurt anything. He doesn't want to stick. And then the big bulky window frames are for the outside. I do have to cut new door frames for this one because if you watched my my construction video, I messed it up and I had to use my door frames from this kit for that kit. And I made the door frames thicker like these window frames so they were easier to stick, and in doing so I made the opening too small, so I'm going to make the opening bigger but still leave the frames a little bulkier. So just the faux pas. I think this one's going to look really elegant. The other one kind of looked well, haunted. And this one's going to look, I'm going to try for elegant. Maybe I'll be able to use some lace or something like that. That would be neat. Okay, so here is the front and then the inside of the front. And now we're going to do the gable. Again, I don't have the door frames, so we're not going to do that yet. But one thing that I learned from my construction video is put the doors in first. So we're going to do that. And I markered the doors. These 3 are doors. There's a bigger one that is the porch, so don't use that one. And then these are the door. Let me pull out all the gussets because I can't see what I'm doing. So, for the doors, I'm just going to cut this piece of black 65-pound cardstock, a little bit bigger than the door. And I'm going to cut 2, one for the big doors and one for the balcony door. And just going to run a piece of ATG tape along either side. Don't cover up your window, because you're going to want that. Same here. Now if you want your doors to open, don't do this, but you'll have to hinge them from the outside. This one. And this one. And then we do have to Sharpie these. No, you don't have to Sharpie those. You have to Sharpie them on this side. Okay, and I already did it. Cut this. Get my craft knife out. Go a little bit bigger than the window. And then you just put the window over it to make sure that it's big enough. Yep, that looks good. I don't want to go too much bigger. The back side of this, you don't have to do it all because you don't see it. Okay. And I would test the door frames, but I don't have them cut right now. I did make them thicker so that it wouldn't be so hard to manage this. Okay. Oh, I do have to cut the door frames out. Okay, now we can put all the vellum and stuff on. So these are for the backs of the doors. You put them on here. So that the doors have something to stick to. And then the vellum goes here. Okay, there we go. Okay, everything looks good, and we can tape it. Okay, and then we're going to add the doors. These are the things that make the doors look like doors. My glue tip's clogged. There we go. So you just glue that on, and then you glue the door right into the door hole. these just line up with the window. There we go. It came off on my thumb. Ultra Bond adhesive is a bit tacky, so, which is a good thing, I think. Okay, so I have, you guys, I totally put this on backwards. Okay, well the front is going to have lamps and stuff on it. How many people were screaming at me not to do that? Okay, I'm sure it'll be fine, even though the lamps are sideways. I don't believe I just did that. Grr. Okay, well, that's interesting to say the least. You don't have to do anything to the back. And let's get our side pieces here. So, not a lot of the side pieces show because you have a 1/2 inch gusset on each side. So you can do it in black if you want. I don't have enough of this paper to cover. Of course, there's always this side. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sure it'll look fine. Not what I envisioned, but fine all the same. So let's get our paper. I think this is the paper I'm going to use for the sides. So let's use this paper for the sides of the gable. So again, I'm going to use the flat side. I'll just cut this out. You can make this a little smaller because the gussets are going to cover up a lot of it. One side, and then the other side is going to be okay. So now a mistake after mistake, guys. This one has to be this way, so I'm just going to cut this roof off. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put this there. This one goes here. And I did cut it too big, so I'm just going to cut the excess off. We can cut it too small, but not too big. Alright, so I'm going to use this, like I said, and we're just going to piece the top together. It's very forgiving. Maybe not if you put the paper on completely backwards like I did first, but I suppose you'll have that. There's that, and then I'll just piece this together here, and we'll cut around it. Kind of excited to do some extra detail on these because the ones I've done so far have been pretty plain. Okay, so going to probably cover a lot of this up, so just so you know, because I did make the mistake of doing it that way. I would not put the door frames on yet anyways because the gussets that we're going to use could cover up those door frames. So we take your gusset, and at this point I'm going to use this 1/4 inch score tape from ASC Supplies. And we're going to bend it and put the score tape on the inside. And do it again here. In my other videos I used ATG, which worked just fine, but this is going to give me a little bit of a better feeling about things staying together. Okay, so this one, the sides go behind the front, so you put the, oh, I gotta trim off a little bit here. There we go. You put the hinge right up against the side in the crease. So that leaves the hinge is sitting flat on the desk right here. You take your side and you can put it right, line it up with the bottom, put it right on there, and push it up against the house, the front of the gable, like that. We're going to trim off the excess here. And this part does not line up with the top of this. That's intentional, so don't worry about that. Cut off the excess. And then if we want to reinforce this, you can take one of the smaller hinges. And since this one's not holding it together, I'm just going to use my ATG tape again. And we're going to put that in the side here. Okay, there's one side. Then take one of my longer hinges again, fold it on the score line. Use my 1/4 inch score tape. I went a little bit outside of the line here. Gotta slow down. I'm cutting my score tape now because it's sticking outside of my lines. I don't want a sticky corner. Okay, we're going to do the same on this side. However, it is nice that it came all the way up against the edge because then it won't peel off at all. I don't recommend it, but there is something good about it. Okay, again, we put the side of the house right up against the inside. Oh, I didn't have it all the way down the bottom. And again, you take your side, you set it on the desk, and you just butt your side right up against the bottom. And because that score tape is score tape, it's wonderful. It just sticks right to it. Just burnish it down a little bit. I'm going to take and cut off the excess of the hinge. I'm using my Tonic Studio Tim Holtz scissors. They don't stick to score tape. They're magic. Okay. They're not magic, they're made of something that doesn't stick. Teflon coated, I think. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing with the smaller hinge on the inside. Tape it on the outside. And reinforce this. Wonderful. And then this, we're not going to do it yet because it overlaps here. And I can't lay it flat and have this overlap, so we're going to go ahead and do the rest of the building. So the sides are the same exact as the front, and then you want to do the insides too. I'm going to set these aside, and you don't need to see me do that because you've already seen me do it once, so I'll do that off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have all of the cutouts done, and it went much faster that time than it did the first time we get into a groove of anything. So the outside we're going to put right on, just like that. And I'm going to use my ATG. Whoops. You can use whatever you want for the adhering. I try and get pretty close to like framing the windows. Goes from the outside. Try and line them up so there we go. That looks good. Do this again on the outside. this one would be pretty too, but I think I'm going to do some fussy cutting and make sure there are some purple roses all over. Okay. I got them all between these two windows. I may have just glued that like 4 times in the same place, but whatever. Okay, this goes on here. You know what else is going to be neat is that I have the lights that I have are actually purple, so didn't fill that in all the way. Or I glued it on crooked, one or the other, but shall be fine. Forgiving, remember? Okay, so we're going to do the vellum yet. So we know we have here, and these are all the same size, so this will be easy. I'm just going to go ahead and go around the windows where we're going to put the vellum. We're going to sandwich the vellum between the cardstock, between the chipboard and the pattern paper anyways. So all I gotta do is make sure I get big enough. And measuring it will probably waste less vellum, but I think this is the last of it. Note to self, don't cut vellum over tape. There we go. Okay. I could make this easy and just make this one big strip. It is wasting a little bit of vellum, but it's okay. I'm going to same with this one. There we go. Now we just glue the black on. I think I need to trim this, and then this one I got a little overzealous, so I'm probably going to end up coloring that. probably should trim just a tiny bit. Oops. Let's see what happened there. I'll start at the bottom and go up. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to take black and put it here in case our window frame doesn't cover that. Look on the outside, make sure there's nothing poking through that you don't want. Like, I don't know if you can see that. The window from behind is like poking through. Which could be neat if you wanted like a little person there. And I just cut through my vellum. That's okay. There we go. Yeah, you can put like little people in there. Some glue. Okay, same on this one. I have a little collection of scraps here. Okay, and this one. Obviously, yep, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to put the window frames on front and back, just like we did the front of the house. Okay, so the sides are done, and this is the back. And if you get this, this is just the frame between these two. So there was no interference with this, so you can toss that or use it for whatever it is that you can think to use it for. And I'm going to set these aside, and we're going to go ahead and I think I'm just going to do black because so you can color the outside of this if you think that you can't line it up. I haven't not colored the outside of it yet, but I'm going to take a chance. I'm actually just going to take my blade and go right along this, giving me that, and that looks good to me. Let's talk about the magnet. So you can get the magnets at ASC Supplies. They have the basil magnets. I don't have any basil magnets left, but I have magnets that I got online. So here are 2 magnets, and then I'm going to take a round paper punch and you need about 4 if you're going to do it this way. This is the way I did it. So you punch 4 circles. And this is a 1-inch punch, but the size of the punch doesn't really matter. Okay. And then if you have a 1/4-inch punch, you can use that. I don't. So what I'm going to do is around 2 of these, I'm going to cut a circle on one edge. Actually, I think I'm gonna do 6 circles because I don't think that 2 is wide enough for this magnet. It depends on how thick your magnet is. I'll do 6. So that will be 4 with the hole and 2 without. That's a half magnet or half circle, but that's okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm going to cut, and you can cut right into I'm cutting all 4 at the same time. There. So what I did essentially is a very messy cut to put this magnet in here. Okay, let me show you what we're going to do. I'm just going to glue around the outside. Keep gluing. We're just lining them up with the outside circle. This is the same thing, the same technique that I used in my Master Detective album for the front cover. Okay, and then I'm going to put the magnet right in here. Little hole we made. It fits perfectly, and it's not like too thick. And then this other piece goes right over top, and now you have a little magnetic, like, openy button thing. And the other magnet, when we're ready to put that on, it'll be right there, but we'll let that dry for now. You can weigh it down or something like that if you're worried about it maybe not drying flat. Okay, now for this, I'm just going to put my regular amount of glue on this. And again, however you're going to decorate the inside. Like, I've been putting black, so I guess I'll put black on the inside too. And then, because you're going to see this when it opens up here. So that's going to be the inside because we need to put the hinge on. Take one of your short hinges, score it, cut it to length. You don't want it to be too long because you don't want interference when you're trying to open it. And this time the score tape is going to go on the outside. So the peak is up. And the hinge is going to go right here so that the door opens and closes. I'm going to put it on. Actually, let's go ahead and cut out the rest of these before I put that on. line it up in the corner. That's one good thing about using the thicker chipboard is that you definitely have freedom to do some other things with it. I'm going to go ahead and glue this on and then cut the inside out. We just want to come right to the edge. And then line it up. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, here we go. And then we're going to cut the inside out. The same. I should have not cut a special piece out for the door. I should have done it this way both times. Live and learn. I'm going to line up with the corner, this time being very precise since I'm cutting it on here. We won't waste it. We use all of our scraps. I just ripped it. That'll be alright. I can fix that. Make sure your blade is sharp. Mine's starting to get a little wore out, but I am almost done, so. Okay, there is the back. Let's go ahead and, oh, I forgot to put the hinge on. Whoops. That's okay. We'll cover it up. If you put the hinge on first, you don't have to do anything special to cover it up. That's okay. You just put the hinge on. The big part I have for the top because the roof overhangs, so the small part's on the bottom, so whatever way you want your door to open, put it on that side. So I put it on the left side. And you just line up the inside of the hinge with the inside of the door frame. And then go ahead and glue this on. And then we'll line up the door. And line this up with the corner. And that'll just give me just a little bitty tiny left over to cut off because the door is smaller than the... Okay, I'm going to try this again because I messed it up the first time. I used my undo to get it off of there. I gotta show you guys the undo. I'm going to I will link the undo somewhere. So I'm going to line it up again, like I said before, with the outside of this edge. Take the tape off. And then this, you place your door where you want it. And when you, whoop, it moved. When you push it down, you will be ensured that your door will open and close. It's going to give you that gap that you need here. Now don't reinforce that on the inside because then your door won't open and close. It looks a little bit messy, but we'll fix it. If you had put the hinge on before you put everything on, then obviously you wouldn't have to decorate that anymore, but we'll put some nice vines or roses or something there from the collection. So I've prepped my hinges for the inside. Apparently I meant to do it on the outside, so these are the short hinges. We need inside hinges, so, or outside hinges. So fold them in half and put the score tape in the valley. We need 4 of them. And again, if you buy the kit, there's going to be some soot involved, which this looks really bad because my fingers have glue on them. I'm trying to get that worked out so that doesn't happen. Well, the other thing that we're doing is that when we cut the kits, we wipe down the pieces. So hopefully it greatly reduces the soot that is involved in the burning of the material. So I'll figure it out. I just haven't had time to figure it out yet, and I wanted to get these kits out to you guys before Halloween so that you could enjoy them if you were making the Haunted Mansion. Now this one, you could do this. You can do this all day long. This is a cosmic. There's wine, there's grapes that I'm going to cover. Wait, I just did the wrong thing again. I said in the valley. This is the second time. That's okay, we'll use them. We can use them on the inside. And we still need 2 for the, we said we'll need them for the roof and stuff too, so. I gotta regroup here. So if you haven't seen my giveaway, my 3,000 subscriber giveaway, thank you all if you are subscribed. If not, head on over to the 3,000 subscriber giveaway video. It's good through September 5th, so you still have a little bit of time to get in the goods. 2 more of these. I try and burnish my score tape because it will peel off if you don't push it down, right? You have to push it down and get it to stick. So maybe now's the time to pull out my I can't find it. Bone folder, that's what it's called. I'll just squish it down with my fingers then. Okay, so I got 4 for the outside, and then I got some for the inside too, but we'll do the outside first. So we take our sides and our front without the gable, and we can start now. I've just got to figure out. Okay, so the sides of this are exactly the same. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the gable, and the front is the front. If it makes it easier for you, you don't have to peel off both sides. What you need to do, the front is the front. The front is where your, the sides go behind the front is what I wanted to say. So line up your front. Push the hinge all the way to the side and then push down. Make sure that you're lined up at the bottom so that when you are done, the hinge is all the way up against the side. Okay, so we're going to do that here too. And then on the back it's the same. It's the hinge has to be all the way up against the side. And these hinges, the small hinges, are cut perfectly to fit here along the sides of the house. So line up at the bottom. And push up against the side of the house. And then push. Okay? So now that we're ready just to add the sides by taking the tape off. And line the sides up with the bottom. And push down. And you can even add your inside hinge here too. I accidentally made too many of these, so I'm going to use some of the ones with the score tape instead of the ATG tape. And make sure that your corner goes in the corner, because it will mess up the roof if it doesn't. And I just kind of lay it in there, push the corners in, and then if I had my bone folder, I would use that, so I'm going to use this paintbrush instead. Push it right up against there. There we go. Look how sturdy that is. Okay. Got a little bit extra tape here, piece of dog hair. It's good stuff. Okay. Now we're going to do this side. Just take the tape off here. And this side you won't be able to see. I'm going to lay it on the table here, make it a 90-degree angle, line my top and bottom up, and push it down. There we go. So before you put the extra piece in, it's wobbly. And when you put this piece in here, it turns very rigid. Unbelievably rigid for just being cardstock and chipboard. I dropped mine on the floor, like on the corner, and it didn't do any damage at all. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Maybe I can show you guys. Do the same thing here. Put it in the corner, make sure it lines up top and bottom. And use my paintbrush again because I can't find my bone folder. And there we go. Ta-da! Alright, and then we're just going to do the same thing with the back. Put this aside. just going to take off one, put it on the back. I kind of missed a little bit, but that's okay. You may have to trim off the bottom. Oh wait, hang on. Did I do that wrong? I did that wrong. Never mind, I did it right. So the door opens this way. So you want to make sure that your door is open in the right way. Okay, again, put it on the back. And then just come in here. And this is going to sit right on top like that. A little harder to show you guys this, and it's going to be a little harder to like burnish, but it's very possible. And as long as you have the tape on correctly and you get it on straight, everything will square up. So remember, if it's facing this way, the back goes on top of the sides. So you just take your tape off, put the back on top of the sides, line it up top and bottom, and then push the side of your gussets in. Okay, and then a little extra, give it a little extra push to make sure that it's stuck. And then get a couple more gussets. I'm going to save 2 of these for the front. Oops. And then these go on the inside again to just make it rigid. So we'll put this in the back. Remember to make sure that you get in the corner. And then I'm just burnishing with my little paintbrush here, same as I did before. It's a little hard to see. I have a camera quick disconnect so that when I want to show you guys from the side, I can just push a button and it disconnects. So that's coming. It'll make some of these tutorials a bit easier, I think. And it will make it more enjoyable for you guys. I was going to use this, but I think I'm going to use that for the roof because it's easier to, if I have to peel it off, it's easier to use the ATG. So I'm just putting this in the corner again, making sure the top and bottom line up, making sure that it gets pushed all the way up against the corner, and then bone folder, paintbrush, whatever you have. That should be the last part that's hard to see. There we go. Oh, my door's open in the wrong direction. Oh well. I ended up putting this on upside down, but that's okay. The roof should still have enough room to open and close. I didn't make it that finicky. Okay, so now what? Now what do you want to do? You want to put the front on, or do you want to put it on the base? Let's go ahead and put the front on. So this is super simple. So remember before that we had the little edge lines, and before I put the pattern paper on, I kind of transferred them onto the bottom. So these are my little marks. You guys can't see it, but I made little marks with my permanent marker, and there's 2 up here. I just followed the edge lines around to do that. And look how rigid it is. Okay, if you want, you can put the lights in now, but I have these 2 holes so that you can just feed them down in there, and you don't have to worry about trying to you know, do anything. You just kind of let them sit in there, and you let the rest sit around in the thing. So I'm going to take the 2 more of the small hinges, because the sides of the gables don't go up that high. And I'm going to line them up right here with the outside. Edge of the gable. All the way here. I guess I didn't have to take both of the pieces of tape off at the same time. Probably been easier not to. I'll do that on this one. Just the edge, just the one side. Okay, we're going to line it up here. Line the outside edge. And then I'm lining the gable up with my marks that I made on the side. And the inside, not the outside hinge, but the inside of the gable goes on the line. I'm going to push down just here, turn it, find the line that I made up here, and it's perfect. Push down, and then I'm going to hold the bottom side with my hand. There we go. Now on this side, it wants to push a little bit, so I'm going to push it. I'm going to remove the tape here. Push it to line it up. Stick the bottom down. Turn it. Find where the line is at the back. It's hard to see. There we go. Push it down again. And then press on it. I got one hand underneath and one hand up above, and I'm pushing this down. Okay, there you go. There is your gable. Everything is done on this except for the door frames that I'm going to go cut here shortly. Okay. The gable is on. I think let's go ahead. Yeah, let's do the roof before we do the base, I think. In the other tutorial, I did the base first. But I'm feeling the roof, so I have to make some paper decisions. Okay, so I decided this is the roof paper I want, and I want the grain going in this direction. So I have 2 sheets, which will be plenty. Actually, why don't we just do what we did before? I'm going to tape it directly to this side. Just make sure that it's in the right direction. And then we'll just cut around it. I think we waste less paper that way. If I cut straight, I don't have to waste any paper. Just make sure you got enough on here. good. And it's all the way to the edge. This is the smaller piece for the roof. Now on these I gotta make sure that I do them in opposite directions. So, well, it's gonna have to be the opposite direction. So I want on this side. Just make sure that it's parallel by lining up one of the flat surfaces with the edge of the paper. Flip it over, as long as we stay flat, we're okay. So we're going to get our hinges, and you should be able to get these and this out of 2, and then 2 of each of these out of 2. Okay, so on these, the tape goes in the valley. And then on the other side, underside, the tape goes on the hill. So that's this way. And I'm going to use the scraps for the underside because they don't have to be solid. So the way I do it is the same as I did the sides. I connect this part first, make it flush with the back. Now when I put the sides on there, they're not going to go all the way up against this, and that's okay. So I'm just going to do that all the way around. And if you want the top is going to show unless you cover it again, so just watch your edges here. Make sure they're the way that you want them to look. You can always cover the top after you put the hinges on, I guess. I kind of like the look of it being framed. And then you can always use some kind of border punch on the top too to make it look like there's a little fenced in area. I think Sizzix may sell like a graveyard fence that would look neat. I need one of those. Oh, and I cut my door frames too, so we'll stick those on when we put the roof on. So I have a little bit of a corner there showing. If you don't like that, you can pencil it in. Honestly, nobody's ever going to see it. Okay, Now, peel off the side and you kind of put it at an angle like, whoops. One, you make sure that it lines up with the edge here. It's very important. Maybe it's easy, but easier to do it this way. Line it up with the edge and you just put it like a 60-degree angle just so that it has room to come up to where you think. It doesn't have to be exact. You leave yourself just a little bit of room. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. I'm all discombobulated here. Same thing. If you pull it up a little bit, like a 60, 45-degree angle, you leave your space in the middle. Just make sure that your sides line up with the sides of this roof here. Okay, there is the roof. Now we got the hinges for here. I'm going to go ahead and peel both sides off. And when the roof, when you fold it up, it just naturally goes to where it's supposed to be, just like that. So you grab two sides. You can butt them up like, you can overlap them a little bit. I just butt them up like this because one does not go over the other. It kind of leaves like this little square in the middle. I line it up with the top so that if there's any excess we can cut this off at the bottom. And just make sure that the corner of your hinge gets into the corner of the roof. It's easier to do it if it's sitting down flat, or not flat, but sitting rather than holding it up. And once you get one, it's a lot easier. So there we go. And I got a little bit extra here. I'm going to have to cut it off with my X-Acto knife. Alright. We're nearly done. I think we're going to split it up into two videos. We're going to split it up into the like basic design and construction, not destruction, and then like the detail. Because the detail you can do, you can go like as much as you want. Much easier once that first one's on. And again, I have to trim some off, which is fine. And this one. Oh, I thought that was the last one. He's not. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess. If one of your eaves hangs down like an eighth of an inch more than the other one, it's okay. It's just because you're not exactly even, and I'm not exactly even either, so you'll never notice. Okay, just to reinforce these a little bit, we're going to go ahead and put hinges on the inside. I cut these hinges, and then these are for the corners. For the top, I'm just going to use the extra that came from these hinges. That should be enough, and then so we're going to glue on the peak, which means that make it a V and glue on the side that it sticks up. And then you don't have to, this doesn't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I don't want to have to cut it again, so I'm going to cut them shorter. And just make sure that your peak goes all the way in the corner. Okay, now we'll bring our house back over, and I recut the doors, and I changed the design so they go around the doors instead of over the doors, so that if you want to make your doors open and close when you get yours, you definitely can. It doesn't quite go down all the way to the bottom, but when you put the steps on, you won't notice that. You just want to line it up with the top. I thought about extending it, and then I thought, you know, there's really no reason. I fixed the broken part, but if it ain't broke, don't have to fix it. Okay. Here. So this should alleviate some of the door frustration. I know I had door frustration in both of my videos for two totally different reasons. But I recommend putting the doors on before any of that. You can put the doors on too before you put the pattern paper on. That was my last frustration. Okay, putting the roof on. So the roof sits behind the gable, and these two protruding parts sits behind it. So you kind of, the lip has to go over the front, but the roof has to go behind the gable. That's how it's made. So it looks like that. Now what I want you to do is make sure that your roof is straight, and we're going to reinforce it in the back. And it doesn't matter what size hinge you use, I'll just use a smaller one. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it so it doesn't move, and we're going to put the gable roof on, and that will attach it to the front. So to make, oh, and if you don't want to put the roof on, and like it's too big, you want it to be like a seasonal decoration, so you're going to move it around, you don't have to put the roof on. You don't have to seal the roof on. You just don't put anything on the roof. So I'm just making sure my roof is straight by seeing, you know, where it lines up with on the back here. And then you put your hinge into the roof set. So right behind the roof, so between the roof and the house. And you stick it up there until it's even with the edge of the roof. And mine stuck to the house before it stuck to the roof. Okay, so I have it stuck all the way to the side of the roof here. Double check my evenness, open the door. And push your roof and your house together with that hinge. You can also use your bone folder if you can find it. If not, you can use the handy dandy pen sitting on your desk. I still have not found my bone folder. Okay, so there we go. It's not perfectly straight, but it's pretty good. Alright, let's go on to the gable. So when I did the gable in the video, I did it kind of the hard way, I think. So let's look. This is the way it goes. So you put your little airplane wings out like this, it folds over, and it goes onto the house, come your house like this. So get you a hinge, and one of the hinges there is a perfect size, and tape. Tape. You gotta give yourself some room between these two because they fold at like a 60-degree angle. And one of the things that I did in my construction video that I'm not going to do here is put tape on the inside because I think that made it less didn't sit down. Okay, so I put tape on the one side, I'm going to get the other side, put them both on, meet in the very tip, and then fold over. I figure you have about 2 material thicknesses between there. My goal for these houses was to sell 10 before Halloween, and yesterday was the second day of the weekend, and I'm already up to 9 houses, so I appreciate everybody who ordered, and just want you to know that there is so much more to come. I'm gonna try and do some seasonal ones. And if you haven't yet, go to the last video I did has my 3,000 subscriber giveaway on it. Be sure you're entered to win a $50 gift card from ASC Supplies. Let's see here. Did I do enough? Almost. A couple more lines. Okay. Now we just put the roof on, and then we just hinge it to the roof instead of gluing it. So we're going to glue on the peak again. I think this is the last time I have to use the score tape, except for to put it on the base. And we still have to pick our base paper. Okay, so just wiggle this around the way you want it to look. Make sure that it's flush against the house. There's one, and that is securing it to the house. That is securing your roof on. Here's 2. And if you want to make the house removable, or the roof removable, that's all you do. You don't do the next step, because the next step is what makes it attached to. I could have done the hinges more evenly, but I'm sure nobody will ever see. Okay, so at this point, if you hadn't put the hinge in the back, this point the roof is removable. But putting the hinges underneath the gable is what makes it not. And of course the one in the back that we already put on. So I used all my scrap ones. I don't want to make them too long because I don't want them to stick out. So they can be short. I will show you that. You can see here that this hinge was longer than this hinge, so it looks a little weird, but we'll just cover it up with something. Okay. And then these, I'm just going to use my ATG. Excuse me. And these, go on the hill. Okay. Now you can see, you just sit these right up on They don't have to go all the way to the front or the top, the tip. All right, house construction done. Put our hand in here. Can get to the gable if you try real hard. Just reinforce the folds. There we go. House construction done, and I will tell you it is a sturdy thing. Now let's do the floor. The floor is just a piece of chipboard. Clean up my mess. Set the house aside. And we have to pick a pattern for it. Of course, you can always do black. There's this floral pattern that's neat. This brown floral pattern I like a lot. Maybe we'll make that the base. I accidentally made the front this instead of the other side. The moon. Yeah, let's go for this one. And we can always change up some of the bits, I guess. So I'm going to do this the same way I did the other side. I'm just going to glue all the way around. And these little etch marks here are just where I put my house. But they're a ½ inch or so away from the back, so you don't need to leave those there. Okay, which way do we want it? So this is the front. Yeah, so we want the roses like that. I'm going to use the corner of my paper so I don't have to cut two edges. My craft knife is getting wore out. We'll see if he's got one more cut in him. I think that looks good. Now you'll be able to see this from the inside of the house too, just so you know. But you can always put a piece of black cardstock or something on there. While I'm cutting, this is a little balcony. I'm going to go ahead and use one of my scrap pieces of paper. Where's the one with all the punches in it? We're going to cover the balcony front and back with black paper. Oh, I always turn it that way. And here. porch has black paper covered it. Is covered in black paper. And all we have to do is put our house on the base. And to do that, it's very simple. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to leave the outside. I'm not going to put any hinges on the outside, but we're going to hinge all 4 sides on the inside. So you won't be able to see it from the outside. My door. Before we put the hinge on and glue it to the bottom, let's go ahead and put my door tab on, for the main reason is that my door just got stuck inside. So I'm not going to do this side yet because I'm gonna put that on during the decorating process. So I'm just going to put some glue on this side, and I do suggest wet glue because essentially it turns into plastic and it's going to hold better, and we'll reinforce it a little bit. So you put your magnetic side, so you have a magnet in here, we made that, and this is the magnet that's going to stick to this side. You just make sure that it goes over the door, but you still have at least half of it on this side of the door. So that will dry like that. While that's drying, let's make our hinges. We're gonna do, there's one long one. It's not long, it's the shorter one. So there's 2 of the short ones, and then we're gonna cut the side ones. And cut it a little short. You have a 1/2 inch to play with it, and it'll still be all the way framed, because when the front and back hinges hit, well, the front and back hinges are going to be short too, which is fine. I don't want to jar that too much. So they're only going to cover up that much of it. You're going to have about 1 inch. It's fine. It's on the inside. You're never going to see it. I mean, you'll see it, but it's not going to be prominent. I'm just going to use my score tape again, and we're just going to hinge all 4 insides. This is the last time we'll need our score tape. After that, we just put the little balcony on and the steps, which I have an easier way, I think. I've not done it this way, but I think I have an easier way to put the steps together than that were in the construction video. Alright, I'm going to put one hinge, take off one side of the hinge, line it up with the bottom of the house on the inside. It should go about inside hinge to inside hinge from your vertical hinges. So it just goes right up against the edge. We're going to do that on all 4 sides. And then the back. Okay, so now that all 4 sides are on there, you peel off the other layer of protective stuff on all of them. I mean, I guess you could just do one, but we're gonna stick this sucker down and I don't want to mess with it no more. Alright, so the front is this way, but I want the back because I need to get into the door so I can push down my thing. Push down the house. So line it up with the back. Straighten mine out. If you want it where mine is, it's about a 1/2 inch from the back. And in the middle. Actually, I think I'm gonna eyeball it from the front because that's where we're gonna see stuff, right? Alright, that looks good. It looks good on the front, but the sides need tweaked a little bit. Open up the door. I'm going to push the front down. The gusset on the front, I'll push down because it's where I want it. I'm going to tweak the whole house to be straight in the back and push the sides down in the back. And now it is attached to the base, just like that. Alright, now this part is a little hard to show you just because of the camera angle. Again, I have a camera quick attach coming so that I can show you this better from a different angle, but right now we're gonna have to deal with what we got. So the balcony is super simple. We glue it directly under this door. And I'm just going to take my regular glue, go along the side, put it right underneath the door. Make sure that it's straight. And then your two short rails. Make a 90-degree right here. So these are your shortest rails. And put them right on the edge. And it will ensure that you glue this balcony on at 90 degrees. Same with this side. I put the rail on top of the balcony, not on the side. If you put it on the side, then these will be short. This is the longer piece. And it goes right in the front. I'm going to glue down my two smaller seat pieces here. And then along the bottom of the long piece. You have 3 long pieces, they're all the same size, by the way. Okay, so that just sits right on top of your smaller ones, side to side. There we go. My glue work's a little messy here, so I'm trying to clean it up. This glue does dry shiny. Okay, now I have to address the steps. So, oh, I forgot this detail too. We'll put that on. So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry while we address the steps. And this, by addressing the steps, we're going to, 3 of these come in your kit, by the way. It's just easier. 2 of the steps are a material thickness or so bigger. Doesn't really matter, but I think I'm just going to paint them black. Or we can use the same paper that we used on the roof. Okay, lastly for this video, we're going to add the steps that I covered in the pattern paper and the fences. And I have misplaced fence. I've misplaced my fences. I've moved things several times, so at this point you'll have 2 smaller fences and 2 bigger fences. And the smaller fences, just like up here, get glued on 2 sides. And one goes right up against the corner of the house. Oops. And I shall find the other one. It goes right here. And then the steps go from corner to corner here. So try not to get in your guys' light. So this one goes over here. There is a large side and a small side, and I put the paper on the wrong side of this one. So I'll find the paper and put it on the other side. It's right here. We're going to do, let's use this little piece. Will it fit? It will. We're just going to finish up the stairs and the railing, and maybe not even the railing, because like I said, I can't find the other 2 pieces. This has been on my desk for a few days, so it got moved around quite a bit. I'm going to finish just this basic, and then we're going to do one for like the extra design elements, embellishing. Okay, here we go. That's going to go on that side. And you'll have 3 of these little steps, but you only need 2. But I gave you 3, so you can put one in the middle if you get the kit. You want a little extra support if you have extra heavy people walking up your steps. Okay, there's that. And sometimes these are the same size in the kit, and sometimes they're a little bit bigger, but you have 2 different sizes. I think I'm going to change them all to one size because the 2 different sizes doesn't really help anything. There's no reason. They're so small that it doesn't matter if they're big or not. I just glue down the sides. This one's not going to touch the side, so we're going to glue down the front. And that's the bottom of the front, and then the back, which is going to go right up against the door. Okay, here we go. Okay, again, I have no idea where the other piece of the front gate goes here, but you'll see it next time. And I track it down on my mess on my desk. But we'll do this one. There we go. And that just goes right here on the corner of the house. And just try and make it square. There we go. That looks good. And the only thing that I see that needs to be fixed besides the stair rail, besides missing a part of the stair rail, is the right here there is gaps, and you can either put a hinge there, but I'm going to cover, you know, we're going to go an extra step and put some more embellishments and stuff, so I may cover that up with some flowers or something like that. So that is my ASC design team project. Head on over to ASC Supplies on Etsy. Use Scrapping Posh 10 for 10% off. This is the Midnight Falls collection. It is perfect for Halloween also. And then if you are interested in the kit for the house, head on over to mymakerscreations.com and you can get this kit. So join me next time. We'll be just taking this to another level. We'll be doing some more decorations with the Nightfall paper collection. Yeah, we'll just add some details and such. So thanks a lot for joining me. Again, head on over to ASC Supplies on Etsy or ASCcraftsupplies.com and use Scrapping Posh 10 for 10% off your regular price purchases. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.